This video is everything you need to know before studying abroad in Seoul, South Korea, specifically if you're going to Sungkyunkwan SKKU University. My name is San and I studied abroad at SKKU back in fall 2023. It's been quite a while since then, but to this day, I still get so many questions on the study abroad experience, how to prepare. So here is my brain dump, all the tips, answers to questions, everything that I wish I knew beforehand when it comes to studying abroad at SKKU in South Korea. Let's jump straight into it. So first off, information about SKKU. They have two campuses, one in Seoul and one in Suwon. They're like an hour away by bus. The one in Seoul is the one I went to. It's one of the oldest campuses in Seoul, over 600 years old. There's a mix of traditional hanok houses and modern architecture, so it's really cool walking around here. People usually have heard of Yonsei or Korea University, not SKKU as much, so I usually tell them Cha Yeon-woo and Song Joong-ki went to SKKU, if you know them. They went to SKKU and I went to SKKU, you know. So specifically about the Seoul campus, this campus is on a hill. It's on a fat hill. But it's a walkable distance. There's also a bunch of shuttles and buses you could take if you don't live walking distance away. We do have a cafeteria and it's pretty cheap. The food's decent, but there's a bunch of restaurants and cafes right by campus. So I just preferred eating there instead. Shout out to my favorite restaurant. I think it's called hyehwa. They have the best tonkatsu. The workers are just so sweet. I ordered the same exact meal like 20 times. Kimchi tonkatsu tteobbap 주세요. That's what I would say every single time I walked in, and they remembered my face and remembered what I ordered. That was core memory. Another tip is go to Home Plus for groceries. Ideally, you would have a Korean number, and with this Korean number, you can get discounts. I made the mistake of not having a Korean number when I came. I just got like the data only plan, not a functional valid Korean number. So my professor ended up letting me use her number, and I was able to get like rice, canned tuna, seaweed, milk, cereal, all the goods at a much better price. We do have a gym, but you do have to check up on like sign-up dates, show up first because it's super limited. I ended up not going to my school gym. I went to this other place. This gym was super close to M House and it was awesome. It had all the equipment I needed and it was a really good price. But regardless, honestly, you don't even need a gym. I walked at least 10,000 steps every day just from going to campus. I mean, you're exploring so much. It's a walkable city, so don't worry about that. Every college has their own like college town. So Yonsei's is like Hongdae area. Korea University is like Sinchon area. So the SKKU college town is like the hyehwa area. This area is super cute, close to all the buses and train stations. Honestly, our school is pretty perfect location-wise. It's like in the middle, like 40 minutes from Hongdae, 40 minutes from Seongsu, 40 minutes-ish from Gangnam area. And hyehwa is filled with so many cafes, photo booths, restaurants, karaoke places. All live young, you have all of that. Also tip, go to Daiso for everything. Adapters, vacuum sealed bags, living items, all that. Now I'll move on to housing. In terms of housing, my school, San Jose State, they sent me information to just apply for housing. So I applied for housing. I couldn't choose what dorm or specific housemates, but they just placed me in M House. Price-wise, it was $1,700 for 4 months. $425 per month. I spent less studying abroad in South Korea than I did living in San Jose. Specifically about M House. M House is like an apartment style dorm. So there are 3 rooms with a bunk bed in each, so 2 people per room. So we had 6 people total. 4 of us were from America, 1 of us was from Denmark, the last person was from Korea. We had our own kitchen, our own laundry. There is only a washer, by the way, no dryer, so you just air dry all your clothes. And dedicated workspaces for all of us, so like 6 desks in a corner. There were appliances like a microwave, water filter, vacuum, also AC and heated floors. awesome. I wish I had heated floors. So I was in M House, but there's also other more traditional style dorms. So there was I House, which was like 2 people per room. There's a bunch of rooms on one floor, and then people in that floor share the same bathroom and kitchen and laundry and stuff. So that was I House. It was all girls. C House was all guys, and then I know there was K House, which was all Koreans. But apparently this is not always the same every semester, but that's how it was for my semester. For all the dorms, there is a security guard in front. When you enter and leave, you must input like your fingerprint in this thing when you go in and out. There's a rule where you cannot have any guests overnight or visiting inside. One thing to note is that there is a curfew at 1 a.m. I believe it's every day except Friday and Saturday. This was a funny story. The first week we came to Korea, we were like, a curfew? No way. So Thursday night, we decided to go to Hongdae and have fun, and came back at like 1:30 and we couldn't get in. There was no security guard, we couldn't fingerprint in, it was like completely locked. So we crossed the street to the convenience store and just sat there till 5 a.m. when it opened. But honestly, the curfew isn't terrible at all. The days that you would go out and have fun would be Friday and Saturday, and the other days, you'd probably get home before 1 a.m. There was also a sorting trash process, and it was pretty complicated in the beginning. Like, there's certain bags that you must use to throw your trash in, and there's different bins to organize your trash. So that was a little bit of a learning process. My final note is that for those staying longer than a semester, so like a year or more, you can't stay in the dorms during break time. So most people, they would either go fly back home or they would find Airbnbs and hotels. Now on to classes. First off, the Seoul campus is humanities and social sciences. Suwon campus is the natural sciences STEM campus. Most of the people that I met at Seoul were business, psychology, I think economics majors. So for me, I am a STEM major, but I was in the non-STEM campus. So I just took all like the fun IEC courses. IEC courses are international exchange courses. These classes are dedicated to just exchange students. The classes are usually teaching Korean language, studies in more like global history, culture, and they're all fairly easy. The professors are really chill. They're all taught in English, and you get to meet a lot of exchange students this way. One thing to note is that attendance is mandatory, so we all had to download this app on our phones. It has like this Bluetooth thing where you have to scan your phone at the front door of the class, or if you're sitting in class already, it could detect your phone location that you are in class, and then you could mark that you're present in that class. Lastly, I know this is a huge friction point for many, which is trying to figure out which classes to take at SKKU that are equivalent to your home university so that you can get credit while you're studying abroad. For us, we had to look through the SKKU course catalog, see all their like undergrad, grad classes, and luckily at our school, we had a document which compiled all of the SKKU classes which would be equivalent to our school's classes. And there was this whole process to fill out a form to specify which courses to take and get approved by an advisor. Hopefully your school and your advisors can help you figure out what classes to take so that you can fulfill your graduation requirements while abroad. Or you can delay your graduation date like me and take classes that don't matter and just have fun. Now, onto the community and fun stuff. SKKU has so many clubs. They sent us a doc in like the beginning of the semester with a list of clubs, all their social media handles, meeting dates. There are some clubs that are only limited to Korean speaking students, but most of the clubs welcome exchange students. You can also get information about clubs and school community life on your orientation day, and they also host club fairs where different clubs host like booths to promote their clubs and interact with you. The clubs that I participated in, first was High Club. This is the club that almost everyone is in. It's the club that also plans all the major exchange student events. For example, we had sports day, kimchi making day, one day to wear like hanboks and take pictures on campus. They also coordinated a day trip to one of the amusement parks. The second club I was in was Kite Club. In this club, we were all placed into groups. In your group, you're like in a mix of Korean students and exchange students, and you just go on hangouts with your group, get to know each other, and it was super fun, more intimate. We went bowling, we played pool, and one of my favorite days was where all the groups came together and we had a picnic at the Han River. There are many opportunities to meet exchange students, such as in your dorm, in your classes, in these clubs, but I highly recommend branching out of that exchange student circle and mingling with Korean students. Shout out to our Korean roommate who lived in our dorm. She helped us with so many things, such as like reading instructions, how to sort trash, helping us practice our Korean, or showing us places we would have never known about. I'll say most of the Korean students that I met, they all understood English. They were just maybe more shy to speak English, but most of them were super eager to meet us and practice speaking English with us, and were always willing to help us whenever we needed anything. SKKU also has a free school festival called Eskara. It was hosted at the Suwon campus, so from like 3 p.m. to 2 a.m. they had a bunch of food trucks, and a bunch of artists came to perform. It was mega crowded, but I can say I got to see New Jeans, back when they were called New Jeans, for free. Additional ways that I made friends. I went to Jubilee Seoul, which is an international Christian church in Myeongdong. This is where I developed some of my closest connections. We had like weekly fellowships, hangouts, and went on a camping trip together. I know another way that you could meet people is also through meetups on like Facebook pages, or through Bumble Friends, or the girls' bathroom in the clubs. So moving on to the pre-journey phase, this is like the application process, scholarships, preparing your finances and stuff. So regarding the application process for my home university, San Jose State, there were many different study abroad programs, such as like SJSU Exchange or ISEP programs. I did SJSU Exchange. Exchange specifically means there are students from my home university and students from the host university. So SJSU, SKKU, and you have the same number of students swapping. This also meant that I would pay the same tuition price for my home university. So even though I studied abroad in Korea, I paid the same tuition as I regularly do at home. We submitted our application on our study abroad portal. Once we were accepted, our school processed our application with SKKU. SKKU sent us some confirmation documents, and then we would have to start the visa application process. This is usually the most nerve-wracking part because there's so many documents you have to prepare and think about. Sometimes it may take a long time, especially if you get it wrong, they might send it back, or you're trying to find where an embassy is close to you. So just make sure that you get started on all the visa stuff early. I was lucky to have a Korean embassy close to where I lived, so I handed my visa application in person. They got back to me in 2 weeks. Everything was fine and I was approved. Another thing is that we had to get insurance from our home university, so we had something called on-call. So hopefully your school and study abroad program has something like this dedicated for you. For scholarships, there was a really big one that SKKU sent to all exchange students. It's called GKS. It's sent to everyone around the world, so it's very competitive. I do know a few people who got it though, and it's a really good scholarship. You do have to write a personal statement, get letters of recommendation, and that stuff. I'm not sure about other schools, but for my school, our school offers scholarships to students. So I applied to as many of those scholarships. I was luckily able to get a scholarship that was specifically for College of Science students, and another one for study abroad programs. That helped me out a ton. On to preparing your finances. Get a no foreign transaction fee credit card. If you can, also try to get a debit card that has no foreign fee as well, especially for those times when you want to withdraw cash from an ATM. I used so much more cash than I thought I would, so my next tip is to order cash from your home bank, because your home bank will probably have cheaper rates than if you were to exchange money in Korea. You also will use cash, especially when you're paying people back, because we can't just Venmo or Zelle people like we do in America, and you probably will not have a Korean bank account, so you always paid people by cash. I also used cash a lot when I was putting money into my T-Money transit card, when I went thrifting, nail, lash appointments, hostels, and sometimes your foreign credit card just doesn't work, so it's great to have cash on hand. Lastly, figure out your budget and estimated expenses. So besides paying rent, you'll spend a lot of money eating out, seeing attractions, going shopping, concerts, maybe you want to visit Busan or Jeju Island. So overall, I'd say a lot of us spent at least twice the amount we'd spend at home. My next tip is to download all of these apps. Naver Map is way more accurate than Google Maps, and it's super helpful for navigating public transit. Papago is the best translation app. You can use the camera to take a picture of like a menu, and it will translate all the Korean in that picture into English for you. You should also download Kakao Taxi, Uber also works.
Check is the app to check how much money you have left in your T-Money card. And then the 3 apps following that are just school-related apps.
Kakao Talk, WhatsApp, these are the 2 main apps for like group chats. I also recommend downloading all of these apps before you go to Korea because some people were not able to download them. A lot of issues come up when you're trying to verify phone numbers and you don't have your phone number overseas. Try to learn how to read Hangul and the survival expressions like hello, thank you, how to call the waiter. Honestly, if you like to watch Korean dramas and you picked up on Korean, honestly, you're a step ahead. And I'll say a lot of young people understand English, but a lot of the older people do not know English at all. But when in doubt, use Papago. Final tip in the pre-phase journey is to pack light. I did have to pack for 3 weathers. So from August to September, it was like super hot. October, it was cool. And then November to December, it was super cold. If you're like me, you'll buy so many clothes and beauty, makeup, and souvenirs. So leave room in your luggage. So after the pre-phase is when you arrive at the airport. The first thing you should do is get a phone number. When you make your way out of the airport, you'll see like a bunch of booths for getting your phone plan. I chose to go with KT, but when I went, I made the mistake of getting a data-only plan. This means that I have internet, I can receive incoming calls, but I cannot make calls or text people myself. With this type of plan, I got a 012 starting phone number. This is technically an invalid phone number in Korea, and something I didn't know was how helpful having a valid 010 phone number would be for almost everything. If you want to go on the wait list at a restaurant, if you want to reserve classes or appointments, verify apps or sign-ins and stuff. There's also special cases like if you lose your luggage once you arrive to Korea, or if you misplace and you forget your bag at a restaurant, you can't call them. Regardless, I did survive with the 012 invalid phone number. I still had data, but if I had known, I would make sure to have gotten the 010 number. Second thing, when you're at the airport, and if you have time, is to get a T-Money card. You can also get this at any convenience store, so no rush. You can fill these T-Money cards with cash at the CVS or in the train station. You need this to tap on and off buses and to ride the trains. Finally, here are my last additional tips. I often use Trazy.com, Klook.com. When I wanted to go to Lotte World, they have discounted tickets. And if you want to go skiing, go on day trips, tours, these are the websites where you could book. If you want to plan a trip to Jeju Island or Busan, I highly recommend you plan these things in advance because they can get booked really fast. You can book trains to Busan or other neighboring cities through Ko-Rail. I also have a lot of tips and recommendations on how to navigate Korea and specifically what neighborhoods or areas are most fun to wander and explore, so let me know if you're interested in that too. We've reached the final part of the video, which is certain reasons why I just loved my study abroad experience in Korea and why you should definitely go. First off, the safety that I felt in Korea. I could go to a cafe and leave out my whole Apple ecosystem on the table and then get up to go to the bathroom, just leave it there. And I come back and it's fine. There's always so many people out and about. I have never felt so safe walking home alone at night before. It is extremely lively. I just love the cafes, the parks, the free exercise machines in public, the river, events like flea markets, festivals, pop-ups. There's so many things to do. There's just little things in the streets that I feel like the country is so caring about their civilians, which is like when you're waiting for the stoplight to turn green and it's burning hot outside. There are umbrellas on the sidewalks for you to stand under so you don't burn in the sun. It provides free shade. Another example is a lot of people tend to look at their phones when they're walking, right? They're not aware of their surroundings. So when you're crossing a street, there's actually some lights on the floor that light up red or green to help people who are on their phones and don't know if the light is green or red or not. Those little attention to detail that I've never seen outside of Korea before that makes me appreciate, feel cared for while walking in the streets there. The trains are also super clean and so smooth and stable. I don't even need to hold on to anything in the trains and I'm fine. The buses though are a different thing. Buses are a freaking roller coaster sometimes. Either way, public transportation in South Korea is unmatched. For people worried about the language barrier, don't be worried at all. You have your apps, but also there was English signage everywhere. I love that everyone I encountered most of the time could tell that I was lost, or I could come up to them and they would help me out no matter what. It is such a great city to be in your early 20s and to meet people. Studying abroad is such a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and if you get the opportunity, definitely 100% take it. You will not regret it at all. You'll often look back and dream about it again, like I often do. But I met so many amazing people there. I learned so much about the beautiful country and also myself while I was there. It was a huge, pivotal moment of growth for me when I studied abroad there. If you have any more questions about studying abroad in Korea or SKKU specific, let me know down in the comments. I hope you have so much fun there, that you apply today if you're doubting it, and you have the best time of your life.